This should be played at high volume, preferably in a residential area.
It's the Dirty Laundry Game-Worn Hockey Podcast.
We're old school, right? We wash our own dirty laundry.
The name on the front is a hell of a lot more important than the one on the back.
I refuse to be judged by a grown man wearing a hockey jersey.
Game on!
Game on!
We are back with another episode of the Dirty Laundry Game Worn Hockey Podcast, episode 105. Got a guest, and looks like we're going to have a lot of guests lined up this month. Probably one every week coming up through August. We're structuring a couple. We've got one locked in for next week, one locked in for later in the month. Holy cow. And one tonight, Robert, you also see him across all his postings with Skating with Seider. Don't know who the hell that guy is, but he appears to be experienced the Red Wings sale. Always joining us. We have a lot of things to cover, gentlemen. Some fun news. We always have to start with my drink of the week in the old fashioned High West Whiskey Double Rye. I think I've said in the past, I've become a more of a rye guy, especially in old fashions. This one is very good. High West, very it. Cheers to everybody.
Cheers.
And that drink sponsored by Mitch and his Drink Your Face Off line of barware and clothing. And I have a feeling we may see. I would love this right now.
Yeah, just going over Expo updates, and I think we'll have 3 opportunities to see Mr. Mitch at these shows. We finalized the San Jose one. We're going to do January 31st at Calder's again. Saturday, I think the NHL is still playing, but the Sharks are not at home right before the Olympics breaks. And then at 6 o'clock that night is the Cuda Mania game, where they do some wrestling theme game every year. It was a huge hit last year. So we'll January 31st in San Jose, we'll get the details out on that in the next few days. We're finalizing suites and stuff for the game. So that we're looking forward to. And we know Mitch will be there.
Yes.
A given. The next one, they haven't announced the location, but LA has settled on March 14th for their date for their expo.
Oh, awesome.
And that'll be somewhere closer to Staples, and we'll figure out where soon, but hopefully Melly will have an announcement in the next week or two on finalizing where that'll be. And now the big one, which we know Mitch will be at, and everyone in this podcast today will be there, is Vegas on April 11th. We've talked about this a little bit in the past, but now we've finalized at New York, New York, which is right next to T-Mobile. We can start set up on Friday, April 10th. So we'll have the room that night. And then Saturday morning, we can get up there nice and early. As for someone like Mitch, they may just stay up all night. Who knows? But we should have a good crowd. The turnout's been really good so far. We just officially came out with announcing New York earlier today. There's a lot of interest. We're putting tables on sale shortly. And since it's at New York, we have to guarantee so many rooms. We will have a link for that available in the next day or two, so you can book your rooms through there. And there's Vegas games Monday and Wednesday after the expo. Henderson Silver Knights have games Friday and Saturday. Saturday would conflict with the finals of the Frozen Four, where at least I know a lot of us are planning on going, but if you don't care about NCAA hockey, well, what's wrong with you? But you will have the Cuda Henderson game as an option. And then Thursday's the semifinals, which we've talked about before. I think Monica and I are arriving in town Wednesday night. I think Mitch is arriving Thursday afternoon. And we'll have lots more details on it. We've started a Facebook group for it, and I will put details about the expo up on Opert and also on dirtylaundryhockey.com in the next few days.
Thank you. And are you guys hearing me better? Sorry, I had a weird audio selection I had to make there.
Much better now. It's just the beginning. We dropped out about 5 to 10 seconds at the beginning.
Okay, that's technology is always wonderful, but no, I'm super excited about that. And for the people like you said, may not care about NCAA hockey, and I've said it before, I'd never been to a game previous to the finals. Go, because the atmosphere is so insanely different than an NHL game, maybe equaling a Stanley Cup final game, but holy crap, just the atmosphere was insane, and I can't imagine it there.
I'm so looking forward to it. It's right now I'm still hoping Michigan's in it. I have a long time for that dream to be
All
dashed.
right.
So, but it's we've made the Frozen Four 2 of the past 3 years. So we'll see what
We'll
happens this
see
year.
where the odds fall this year.
Exactly.
But no, the super exciting, and I know the Facebook group. I saw the invites go out to a bunch of people, and the pictures of the event space are in there, and it's cool. Overlooks the casino floor and everything. It is badass.
Yeah, and just if we do fill up that space, there's two rooms next. Well, another room next to it that can be cut in half that we can add to it, and they're right next to each other. So it's
Wow.
if the turnout's more than expected, we have plans for handling it. So looking forward to it. We've been talking about doing a show in Vegas for years, and it's finally happening. This is gonna be great. So,
Oh yeah, and if it goes well and things, and we could continue to tie those in the future, I'll be out there with the podcasting gear, so we'll record a show right from the event floor and have a fantastic time. So, I mean, it's only the early part of August, but that's going to come fast, and we'll continue. Paul continue to put those details out. So thank you very much for everybody's hard work who's working, helping us in Vegas and all these places to get this done. Auctions, only one that I really came across of any importance is Heritage Auctions does have a couple jerseys out there right now. They have an 88-89 Luke Robitaille Kings photo matched to a game with 17 days to go, currently at $37.50. Also have a 65-66 Jacques Plant Ed Giacomini game worn Rangers jersey. It is currently at $57.50 with 17 days to go. A couple other things, pair of Gretzky game worn and signed gloves. And that is actually it of all the game worn stuff. NHL auctions really didn't have anything this time around. My Gray had the ones we've talked about before. We did touch on this last week. I wanted to give an update because there was a big one, and also ask a couple questions to the whole panel here of NHL teams with this. But we talked last week about the Miami Heat and having a whole ton of jerseys missing. It came up initially on a podcast, and then the stories fell pretty quick. But it was a former Miami Heat security guard worker and retired Miami police officer charged with, they say, massive memorabilia theft. That is an understatement of the year. He worked there from 16 to 2021. And then as an actual NBA security guard from 22 to 25. During the time, he accessed their secure equipment room, which was their place. They were shoving jerseys and gear and all that to eventually build a Miami Heat museum. He stole over 400 game-worn jerseys and other items. Over the 3-year period, he stole over 100 items, or sold, over 100 items that totaled $2 million. A lot of cases sold them way below market value. The big one, which I'm betting the buyer and the secondary seller is royally pissed now. He sold a game-worn LeBron James Miami Heat Finals jersey, sold it for $100,000, sold at Sotheby's for $3.7 million. So what does that now mean? The Heat get it back. Sotheby's has to pay. That money has to be recouped and everything else. That's crazy. They also executed a search warrant at the gentleman's home and seized 300 additional stolen game-worn jerseys and memorabilia, which the Heat confirmed belonged to them. Pled not guilty. We'll see where this case goes, but holy crap, that volume over a 3-year period is insane.
Yes.
And Wade, you and I talked about this a little bit last night on the phone. We were talking about some other things, and you brought up a good point of again, all stealing is wrong. I will preface that right up front. Don't do this, especially working for any teams. Don't do shady shit. However, stealing 300 to 400 jerseys gets noticed. Stealing 1 to 2 with that kind of inventory probably wouldn't have.
Yeah, but, I mean, we were both just disgusted by the whole thing, but it's like when you start thinking about how much that is, I mean, he had to been leaving, and that was what we were talking about. He had to be leaving every night with stuff, right? Like, I mean, basketball jerseys are a lot smaller than hockey jerseys, but yet still, like, I mean, I said it, and I'm not embarrassed of it. But if the guy would have been so damn greedy, he probably would have gotten away with it at some level, right? I mean, it's just insane. I mean, you should never steal anything, anyways. I'm not by any means saying that that was okay, but the pure quantity of that is just insane.
And the other thing you look at with that is thinking about how many of the NHL teams we know that run their own programs.
Yeah,
If those things are disappearing and you're not doing good inventory, you're not keeping track of stuff, that's a problem. Or if you start seeing stuff showing up out in public with tracking tags and stuff that your team is like, wait a minute, I don't remember selling that. That also
yeah,
gets messy. But it's,
yeah,
I mean, that's insane. And one of the other articles that, not the one I was referencing there, actually talked about some of the jerseys he took were NBA game worn jerseys from high end players from other teams that
yeah.
they had made a deal, donated whatever to go to the Heat thing as
He
well.
was
So it
taken.
wasn't just Heat players.
I mean, this almost harkens back to me. You hear all the old school guys talk about the old school stories about how, the jerseys and the equipment and stuff, the equipment guys used to, use it as a funnel for their own, you know, um, income at some level before they became marketable and sellable. I mean, it's changed a lot over probably the last 20, 25, 30 years, to the days when those guys could take that stuff out the back door and it wasn't really a big deal because there wasn't value to it. But in today's world, with the way they tag this and stuff, I mean, that guy's a complete idiot to think he could get away with doing any of it, let alone that quantity of it. I mean, it's insane.
And I'm curious what, and if it was at that auction, was it something else, or did somebody, an insider, tip them off, or being at this guy's house going, wait a minute, you make X amount of money and you have millions of dollars worth of stuff, or he started driving a flashy car or something else that
Yeah,
tipped people off. They started looking at that. And I think maybe once this gets into court, unless he pleads guilty, it'll come out in trial, but it'll be interesting to hear kind of what all happened to
yeah.
one, tip it off, and kind of how he did it. But
I
I mean,
can't
that's
imagine.
brazen.
I think there's going to be, it sounds like to me with that quantity and with him pleading not guilty, I have a stinking suspicion that it's going to come out that there were more hands in that cookie jar than just his paws.
Highly possible. Robert or Paul, any thoughts on this? Or I don't know if you guys had seen much on the story.
I mean, I would think the James Final jersey would have been something that would have really have tipped off the Heat. First
Yeah.
off, I mean, you have a jersey, what you said sold for 3-4 million.
Yep.
And I'm sure at that time, I would like to think Miami's then contacting the auction house saying, where did you get this and all that? And I would like to think that there's probably a trail there to follow that back. $100,000 is a lot of money, no matter how you look at it. I mean, it's not $4 million, but it probably leaves some sort of paper trail somewhere too. So I'm not sure. It's gonna be fascinating to find out if they were tipped off by someone or if they just did a little bit of investigative work on the James jersey, a few others, and trace it down that way. And the other comment I have to make is I'm really glad that we are taking an official position on this podcast against stealing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I know it's a long reach there, Paul, but
yeah, we're going a little bit out on a limb there, but yes. So our official position is stealing bad.
yes,
So
don't do it. Robert?
I agree with everything you guys said. I couldn't have said it better. And then obviously at a certain amount of dollars, it becomes a felony. So this guy, if he acted alone or if it's a network, I mean, they're going to see some serious prison
Yeah.
time. My silver lining about it is that, as a collector of game worn, that hopefully this will push more equipment staff and all the stuff to track this stuff and label this stuff, and it'll actually be more detailed so they know that this is something that is a possibility. And I think it could help us. It could trickle down into the hobby, and it's like actually something good came out of something horrible. So that's all I'm hoping.
And two things, and I'll come back to the hobby point that actually you just saying that triggered something in me. But there was a side link off the story I was reading from. That LeBron James jersey was auctioned off January 27th, 2023. So that was very early in the guy's possible timeline for taking stuff. And at the time, they estimated it would sell for $5 million. But it was all over the news. And the article I'm reading about it is in Miami, the NBC Miami. So the team had to even see it there and go, wait a minute, don't we have that? And maybe the investigation started back that far, but it's weird. And then, Robert, going back to your point on how it could maybe affect our hobby, even think about it at our level as collectors. When you get jerseys, I mean, I do it a lot of times to take pictures and share them with friends when I get stuff from wherever, but take a picture of the front, the back, the set tags, if it has a team hologram for whoever, because those numbers are there. So if your stuff gets stolen, even if you're not uploading it to a site or whatever track, even if it's just on your phone and your stuff gets stolen, when the cops come to your door and you do, so what got stolen? Well, I've got 10 hockey jerseys from X team. Here's the set tag, the serial number, anything that can identify it. So if it shows up in a pawn shop, on eBay, whatever, you have the evidence to say on this date, because your camera is timestamping all that stuff. I took the picture. Here's my police report that says these things were stolen. You're going to have an much easier time getting it back than if you can say, well, I own that. Well, prove it. And if you don't have those things, so that's something for all collectors to think about, even at a low level. I mean, the odds of somebody breaking your house and that's what they target, if they don't know what those really are, if they have a value, but it could happen. And I know it has happened, I think, at My Gray's warehouse years ago and other places where there were a large volume of jerseys stolen. My Gray has their inventory, so they could be checking against those things. Have your own. Like I said, it doesn't have to be anything crazy, but just take a picture of, and if there's any specially identifying repairs or wear marks or anything like that, that you can say this is 100% mine. And like I said, if you're waiving a police report, that will pretty much ice it for anybody questioning your ownership. So something to think about from that side of things. Wade, you did a little traveling over the weekend and asked some questions while you went up to the Windy City.
Yeah, I went to the National Sports Collector Convention in Chicago. Couple things. Wow, the size of the thing. I've been going for, 20 plus years, the National in different places and different locations. And, the one thing I wanted to throw out there was like the Chicago is just huge. I actually am friends with the guys who are the managers of the national promotion. And we were talking about just the way it's growing and the size of it. They take up the entire bottom floor now. They're moved up top. I mean, it is a spectacle of people and things. So two things I took from that were one, all the major auction houses have game used stuff for sale, right? And so I think that's really interesting because secondarily, there was I counted, there was less than probably 3 or 4 booths that were game used focused, if that makes any sense. Joe Tolman was there with Double Deke. Those guys had their booth that they always have at the National. It seems like went to Chicago. Outside of our realm, the guys, I think it's Steel City, is the guys that do all the Pittsburgh Steelers game worn jerseys and helmets and stuff. They have a beautiful display. Crook Cards has a bunch of their stuff, their game use stuff, so they have a rack of it. Fanatics used to do like a wholesale rack of stuff whenever they had teams. So you used to be able to grab some deals there. They didn't have that. So like beyond that, it's a very speckled amount of game use stuff on the floor, which I think is interesting. And the reason I said that was when you go to, Heritage or Golden or any of the major auction houses, they're selling like $1 million jerseys, but they're not represented in the room, right? So I think that's an interesting part of how separate our entity of the hobby is, but yet how still relevant it is. So I found that to be really interesting. I got to run around and see a ton of stuff. I mean, the card business is not hurting. There's plenty of 10-year-old kids running around with briefcases full of cards. You know, and the autograph world is still booming. I spent a lot of time seeing a lot of my friends in different corporate booths and just around the show. I had a really nice time, and I got to see a lot of old faces and friendly faces, and I had a really nice time. The one thing that we had talked about last week and we kind of hit on was, some of the autograph news that's been floating around about, forgeries and things like that. And, we kind of said I was going to wait to report back on it. And the one thing I wanted to say was it felt unaffected in that room, if that makes any sense. And there was no chatter or talk from what I could hear. Nobody brought it up to me. Again, I've said this before on different podcasts and different platforms, but where there's value, there's fraud. And we famously have heard in our hobby for a long time, you got to do your homework. And I don't think that changes from autographs to baseball cards to jerseys to Pokemon to anything, right? So I guess a manifesto of the caliber of the one that came out a couple weeks ago, I think those numbers were inflated, and I think that there is obviously value related fraud, and that's always going to happen. It happens with jerseys, right? I mean, it happens with everything, like I just mentioned. So, the one thing I took away was, again, use trusted sources just like we do. Find third party companies that are reputable that are doing their homework on that kind of stuff. There are some really great Facebook groups that do a great job of even helping people with the Jordans and the Bradys and the baseball stuff. There's plenty of stuff out there. There's plenty of resources. So again, if something seems too good to be true, it probably is. So be careful and hobby carefully. Was really my takeaway from that.
And you forgot the best part of the story.
Which is what?
Two things. One, you got to see me on the way through passing up.
I did.
In my small town that doesn't even have a stoplight, but we have 2 truck stops and Casey's.
My way up included 2 stops. One to see Doc and drop off the cards that Paul will be bringing to the Germany show that are in the mail to Paul right now, and he'll be bringing some of those along for your pleasure in Germany. And then 2, I stopped at Wally's, the world's largest, side of the road attraction, and grabbed some snacks on my way. So yeah, it was a good drive up. It was actually nice to get away a little bit, lock myself in my car. I did tell everybody one of my favorite parts of the story too was hotels were really, really sold out. There was like one of those like Day of the Dead conventions going on as well. And so the hotel I usually like to stay at is the Hyatt Regency because I love their breakfast. So to embarrass myself a little bit, I'm going to announce I stayed at the Renaissance, which is wonderful. And in the morning, I got up, checked out, drove over to the Hyatt Regency, and got breakfast at my favorite hotel.
Nice. And then and I laughed too because on the way home you made the geographic discovery that you're an hour and a half from Bloomington, where the Bison East Coast Hockey League team plays.
Yeah, I'm a little touch from my door to door. I'm a touch less than probably 2 hours. So I called you on my way home and I said, hey, pardon my French, but I said, why the F haven't we gone to a Bison's game together? Like, I could pick you up and we could do this. I could be there in 2 hours. And you're like, yeah, you're stupid. I told you this last year. So
it's only 45 minutes from my house.
Yeah, that's what you threw in there. You're like, well, it's only 45 minutes for me. So if anybody is wondering, yes, you'll see us at some Bison's games this season. So Bison's, give us some tickets.
I'll see what I can pull off. But no, I'm glad you had a good visit up there. It is interesting, Wade, that there's not a ton of game worn stuff there, especially hockey wise, being in Chicago.
Yeah.
But I'll be curious, and if anybody knows other dealers or things like that that might would normally consider that place and don't go, I'd be curious to hear why, even if it's off the record, just to kind of understand why that piece isn't a bigger pie.
So, and I actually talked to the promoter of the event, who's a longtime friend and was a client of mine in the autograph world when I did authentication, and is really one of my close friends. And we actually met up and had a nice conversation. That was probably my favorite part of it, was getting to meet up and sit down with a lot of friends. But we talked about it, and I actually said to him, I go, and I said, you guys are really missing the boat on this. And it's not that he didn't agree, but it's just not like, I don't understand why game use collectors haven't used that as a sanctuary, as an event as well. Beyond the fact that the cost to get a table is really hard, there's a waiting list. I think those are the holdups on that end of it. Um, but I did suggest to them finding a way to get our community to be vested with that as well. Because obviously I think people that collect the jerseys don't just collect jerseys, right? So if we could somehow, start getting a presence there, I think that'd be pretty cool.
Definitely. And did you go up to Kruk and ask them about some deals on Blues jerseys?
I did not, no,
Ah,
I've known George for years, great guy. I actually missed him at the booth. Both of his sons work there and are running that booth, and they have another gentleman that I think handles their game use stuff. So they had their normal run of their stuff that they have, and um, it's good. There's so many companies now that are doing that, that overflow equipment stuff. I mean, we just saw. I forgot the couple teams that have jumped out there with skates and pads and whatever. So it's interesting to see where that turns up. It doesn't seem like the jerseys are turning up at places. I think that Blues situation was an anomaly because I don't think other teams have that same problem. And if the only team that's probably do would be like, obviously the Islanders are going to have a huge problem at some point moving all
mhm.
that stuff, and the Blackhawks. Those are the only two teams that I can think of that are probably sitting on a mint of jerseys.
Yeah, Islanders are probably saving them for a museum or something.
I mean, what are they? I
That
mean,
nobody will visit.
yeah, what are they going to do? Put 2013 preseason jerseys out there in the museum? I mean, how many they probably how many do they have? It's the same thing
I
with the
thought
Blackhawks.
I thought some of the preseason jerseys got released over the years and like
Okay,
the training camps, but still, you are right. There's probably hundreds or thousands of them.
it's insane to think
Yeah.
about. But same thing, but no, I had a good time. Like I said, if I got to see you, great. If I missed you, I'm sorry. I'll catch you next year. It's back in Chicago next year, and then I think the next year it's in Detroit in 2028. So I think from what I can understand, it sounds like they're going to start toggling between Detroit and Chicago, and I think they're looking for another venue that is even capable of handling the pure volume of it at this point. So
Well, thank you for spreading the love of the Dirty Laundry podcast, even in Chicago, and
yeah,
it is it's great for any of us to be able to get out to these other things and talk to people and learn what the market's kind of doing and different things and just
yeah. Do you guys have any questions about the autograph stuff? I mean,
Well, actually, I have two. One's about the show. I saw a lot of like videos and stuff of really long lines getting into the show.
yeah.
I was wondering how that process was. I mean, did you have to wait a while to get in? Was it a
So I
mess?
did not. Um, on Sunday morning, there was a pretty good crowd of people for general admission to get in. I think a couple of things I saw were there were a lot of people that were upset at the oversale of VIP tickets and weekend passes that were sold because a lot of those videos were, those Wednesday, Thursday people trying to get in on the special passes and there being lines, around the corner to get people in. Again, like the volume of size of this event has gotten to be just insane. I mean, I harken back to when the National was in Chicago, 10 or 15 years ago, and it was probably a third or a fourth the size of what it is today. Post COVID, post, um, you know, the hobby, the card business has exploded in some regards. The autograph business has maintained strong. The biggest thing that's changed there is the amount of podcasts slash breakers slash corporate, areas. I mean, when you walk by and see the presentation that places like Golden and Upper Deck and some of these auction houses and some of these other vendors are putting together, you know, the authentication companies are putting together these crazy displays. I mean, it's insanity. Heritage had a crazy amount of stuff. Golden, like I said, it is an absolute insane thing. If you've never been to it, I tell you, go, because it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, no, sounds like a lot of fun. So,
Yeah,
in terms of autographs,
sure.
when that story broke, one of the things he claimed is that his auto pen was fooling all the third-party authenticators, and everything got through. And I was wondering, was there any buzz or talk when you talked to people in the industry about that? What did they have to say?
No, I mean, no, it wasn't even really a conversation, to be honest with you, besides maybe me bringing it up in the sense that two things. One, auto pens are always very distinguishable. That was a thing that did pop up because I was part of the management team of an baseball autograph group. And a couple years ago, they had finally figured out a way to put auto pens on baseballs, and on a lot of stuff. And to be honest with you, they're pretty noticeable, especially in quantity. So for him to say that or to think that seems a little crazy to me. I mean, the biggest thing that I took away from that guy's manifesto and that whole situation is somebody brought another thing to my attention about another guy who was talking about the same type of thing is if it was produced in that quantity and it's real, then we're going to quickly see a follow up from authorities looking into it, and it will be noticeable, right? Like you couldn't make 10,000 of something or 100,000 of them and make them the same because the value would be destroyed in that sense, right? Like there's only so many Patrick Mahomes jerseys and photos and mini helmets that you can sell before the market becomes flooded, and then you've cut your own throat there, right? Not that that's probably the best term in this, but like there's only so many fake Tom Brady's you can do. Tom Brady's autograph is absolute shit. So, um, that like you could only make so much of that stuff before it would become kind of insincere. So that's the reason those numbers seemed kind of weird to me, right? It was too much. But I think, like, again, where there's values, they're fraud. Yeah. Are people faking stickers and faking autographs? Absolutely. Are people doctoring jerseys? Certainly. We see it all the time. But again, the quantity is where the question falls into play. And, when it would become noticeable would happen pretty quickly.
Interesting. No, I found the counterfeiting all the stickers too to be
That's the
interesting, to put it
craziest.
mildly.
That's actually the most genius part of it. And I've seen that for years. That's one of the things and that's why that technology has continued to kind of alter and change. And you've seen a lot of companies continue to have to stay ahead of that game because once people figured out how to do it, and then if you're really smart enough to get into the database and start using real sticker numbers for fake items, like it's a pretty good play on it, right? I mean, then you just have to make sure that the autograph is up to snuff, and that's where usually most people fall short.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good thing that they couldn't spell group correctly for the migrate
Yeah.
fake tags. So.
Those. I mean, but think about that. How many years ago was that? That's 15 years plus probably because those are
that would have been the first Winter Classic. So yeah, 15.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So I mean, if you think about it, so I mean, it's not like this is fresh, right?
Not at all. Yes.
You answered my own question about like I've never been to the National, so I definitely want to come when it's in Detroit and stuff like that. But I like how you touched base about like, the game use hockey, like set up a couple of tables. It'd be kind of cool, like maybe some of the big guns in the hobby come together and get a table or two and be able to show West Coast, East Coast, North, Canada, South, and just a nice mixture of like what this hobby has, I think that'd be great.
Yeah, 2028 maybe. I expect to see me in your neck of the woods.
Absolutely. I got you.
And last and not least, and Robert, thanks for hanging in through all this and stuff, because there's just so much going on. Uh, Having you on to talk about the Red Wings sale, and not 2 minutes. I mean, even before the sale started, you've already become a troublemaker.
Yeah, sadly, yeah. 2 years in a row now, I've been a troublemaker, been kicked off the property. So the first 2 years went by. I mean, the first 2 years was absolutely amazing. It took me back to the old school days of sitting out for concert tickets at a record store. Waiting for the night before the next morning to be able to buy tickets on Ticketmaster, and that camping out with everybody was really really nice. And then last year we set out, not to recap on last year's episode. But last year we got kicked off property because they said that it was because they had a concert that night, and we couldn't have people up at the building like that. And this year, got there, and it wasn't 20 minutes of sitting about 30 yards from the building wall. We had this security guard that was like completely raging. He was like, please tell me you're not setting out for the equipment sale for tomorrow. And I was like, actually, we are. And he's like, you can't be on property. I was like, and then I was like, you really gonna do this to us? That you guys did this to us last year? Like, what's going on here? Well, have you talked to my supervisor? So we sat around, and when I say we, me and another collector, he came in from Daytona. He got there, I want to say around 11:30 noon on Friday, and I got down there at about 12:30 noon. And so this all took about an hour and a half before it all kind of like, settled. But another security officer, I'm assuming that was his supervisor, but then there was an LCA, and people that aren't from Detroit, that's abbreviation for Little Caesars Arena. So one of their members came out and told us, like, point blank, this is a liability. We try to get, what does liability mean? And they shot us down and they kicked us off property. And so we sat in the same place we did last year. I want to give a shout out to Harry's Detroit Bar and Grill for hosting us, letting us sit out there on their property or across the street from their property, letting us go in and use the bathroom. We would eat lunch and dinner and stuff like that. And it hurt, it kind of sucked, for that to happen 2 years in a row, and that we're just camping out. We're not causing any trouble or nothing like that. And I'm glad that we all talked before the show and stuff like that. Cause, I was definitely, I wouldn't say I was heated. I kind of calmed down, but it was nice, hearing your guys' backstories and stuff like that about this topic and stuff like that. And it's just moving forward. It is what it is. And if this happens, I'm going to say if it happens again next year, but I would say that we'll camp out right there where we were last year, and maybe whoever comes down there will tell their collectors, hey, we're here, join the line. Because it wasn't like I said, it wasn't about, I think it was about an hour after we got kicked off property, they updated their post and said, please, nobody come out until 6 a.m. to come up to the team store door. And then we were talking about that whole liability stuff like that. We were thinking like, well, it almost causes another liability. Now you're going to have all these, collectors running at the door at the same time at 6 a.m. And like, it's almost like a Black Friday type of feel. But overnight, it was me and Ken from Daytona. We were there till right around 11:30 until we had about 4 collectors coming from Grand Rapids. They're huge Grand Rapid Griffin fans on top of Red Wings fans, and then another collector down here. We call him the Kane guy. And there was only like 7 of us that camped out overnight, and we stayed put where we at. We started putting our chairs away around 5:45 a.m. on Saturday, and kind of slowly strolled our way back up on property and stuff like that. We got to the door about 5:55. We saw another collector or two, and there was no problem. So that was great, because it's like, there's only 7 of us. Like, how do we prove that we were here first and there's 20 people coming out of the parking garage? So it all worked out. We got to the door at 6. By that time, we was able to look into the team store. We could see the way it was laid out and stuff like that, and we could kind of hunt for what you want and stuff like that. My biggest piece that I wanted to get was the set one away Hall of Fame induction ceremonial patch for Seider, and it was able to he was able to see it, through the door, through the windows, because of the patch on the shoulder. I knew exactly where I needed to go and stuff like that. And we just enjoyed each other's company for the hour, a couple hours, because the doors opened at 9 a.m. And but you still didn't have enough time to really like mingle and meet new people and stuff like that, which I miss about the camping out. Like that was the best part of camping out for these sales, was meeting new people.
And I'm just curious what their. I mean, technically it's outside. Yes, I understand they own the property, but I know other NHL teams appear to allow this. The Blues, up till they changed, like when their time of theirs started, had it, and they own all that property. I'm curious, and if there's a lawyer out there that knows what they may be concerned about, or if they're just being overly cautious, let me know. I know as a whole everybody's more litigious, but I mean that maybe seems a tad bit excessive. Now, once you got in the door, I know we've seen some pictures published online about jerseys at different discount price ranges. How was some of that?
So obviously, I wasn't. That wasn't my focus point, but I could see all the tags and stuff like that. So they had. I don't know how far it went back, but the leftovers from every year. This could have been from, I'd say, from last year all the way to maybe 5 years ago or whatever. But they had discounted jerseys, all gamers, discounted anywhere between 25, 50, and 75% off racks. So
Wow.
there was some deals to be made on those racks. And another cool thing is during the regular season, sorry, I'm a little froggy tonight, but Patrick Kane game used gloves were $1,500 a piece, and from the best of our knowledge, he probably uses a pair of gloves for that morning practice and the game, and then he's done with them. So he has a big inventory. So they blew all those gloves out for $500 a piece. So that was a great deal if you were, interested in Patrick Kane gloves, because they're normally 1,500. I don't know if those prices are going to go back up to the 1,500 mark, or if they're like, we're about to get a crap ton of more inventory from them this year, so let's just blow these out. They had all gold pucks were 500 or 50% off too, so that was a bargain. And that was really good. And then the thing I noticed the most was the very limited of set two jerseys this year. Set one, home and away, it seemed like they had everybody, but set twos was very limited. And looks like that is it called the CBA with the players, with the jerseys and stuff like that. It's called the CBA.
Correct.
So it sounds like a lot of the players cashed in on that. So with them missing two, and this is just me thinking this, I don't know if they owed the player from a year before, because all we heard was that a lot of players took set twos. But then I got to thinking that we did the jerseys off their back for the last game of the season. I'm like, is it possible that those fans actually got some real gamers? I'm like, wow, that's amazing for those fans. But it's like, wow, holy crap, it's very possible. So that's just me thinking. I have no proof of that. It's just me going, thinking in my head about that. But it's like, it was odd to see that both sets are both home and away for set two was gone. So I'm like, all right, we'll see. Because with this year being the Stadium Series, I'm like, well, the players got one of those jerseys. I didn't know if that counted, or it did, or it didn't, or whatever. But it was interesting to see that.
Yeah, the Sharks did do that for jerseys off their back. They gave their set three home jerseys as the giveaway that night. So I forget one other team did it too with a full gamer set. I'm drawing a blank on who that was. So it is possible the Red Wings did that. It's
Yeah, which would be great for the people that got it. The people in the hobby are like, oh my God, I can't believe it. But yeah, so I really don't have any clarity on that. I could just see that the inventory was like that when you first went through the doors. Like I said, I was set on the away set ones, but I gotta give credit where credit's due to. I think the Delaware North team had the best layout they had in my 4 years. Like I thought the way they had the table spread out, all the inventory that was out there, their staff was constantly, I don't want to say they were reloading. I think like when people would like shuffle through it and stuff like that, they were constantly putting things back the way it was. So it was always looking nice and neat. And I got there obviously, and I had to leave, but I actually returned later in the day because I just felt like I want to see this stuff, more. So if anyone is interested in some of the prices, the canes went down a lot from 15 to 17K last year. They were at 10 and 12,000, and the Larkin stayed par. The Seider stayed par, so I think Larkin was around 6K a jersey. Larkin's or Seider was 53 to 55. Raymond's went up the stock on it. I think I kind of helped his stock when I was on the podcast last year from 2,200, but rightfully so. I mean, I think he's the most, incendiary, the player that's his stock is rising the most. So I think it's fair. So the $2,200 jerseys are gone. So now this year they were 35 to 4K. In the line with all the people that was there, the most sought after jersey was the Caspers. Most people in line wanted to get their hands on a Casper, with it being his rookie year and stuff like that. And the Caspers, I want to say home and away on average, I want to say like one was 24, one was like 26. So around the 2,500 mark, you could get a Casper jersey. And I think there was only two of them. So his set twos were missing. Seider's set twos were missing. Raymond, I believe all four of his jerseys was there. I saw at least two canes, but some people said they saw four canes. I can't really speak on that because I didn't physically touch all the canes or nothing like that. But it was after going through the whole deal on Friday, like the sell itself was great. Like from getting in there and being able to walk around, it wasn't a madhouse either. So I had about 8 or 10 collectors that reached out to me through text or through phone. And I think with the team saying that, hey, no one line up till 6, it kind of deterred a lot of guys. They're just like, I'm over this. They're taking the fun out of this. And then I think a lot of collectors, I think they're this year with the foot traffic, it was very light. It was the lightest foot traffic I've seen in my 4 years. And I think a lot of it has to do with maybe, I don't want to sound petty, maybe it has to do with, the whole thing that happened Friday. But I think if I had to really think, I think a lot of collectors are saving their money for the 100th year anniversary stuff, the sets that are coming out in the pack, because I can assume that that's going to be an expensive, set, and it's going to be a very expensive jersey. Any jersey you get is going to be a premium price. And that's just me, thinking that that's the thing. But I think that might be what it was.
So I guess, did you see the amount of things? And I haven't seen, and Paul, I know you see the Red Wings pages more than I do. I didn't see a ton of people really posting about like getting things. Do you?
I have not, and there didn't seem to be too much.
I mean, the pictures, and I
posting in the group.
apologize who I should have marked who put the initial pictures up of the sale because they were really good pictures. I apologize with missing credit for that. I'll see if I can find it. But I was surprised to see those kind of markdowns, and I'd be curious what was in some of those piles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd be very curious too, and that's bummed I wasn't there for that. But they were older jerseys at least, so non-fanatics.
Right.
So I mean, you did get the Hall of Fame induction jersey, which I don't know if everyone knows this, for the Wings, they put the patch on for the game and then take it off for rest of set one. This time it looks like they put it back in the correct place.
Yes and no. So
no.
No, it's okay. So it's good and it's not. So I think I definitely think it was a home run, right? Because exactly what you said. And normally if the Wings are in a situation, or when they have a game like this with a patch or something like that, like you said, not like Toronto, you always see, because Toronto always hosts that game. So you see those jerseys auctioned off with Toronto probably within days after that game. And those collectors have that jersey that was worn up until that game with that patch. Like you said, with the Red Wings, we like to recycle stuff. We like to get more usage. So I want to say about a week or so after that game is when we had the Pavel Datsyuk night, and it was to celebrate his induction in Hall of Fame. So where I sit at, I can actually see the patches up close, and I can actually read the patches on it. And it was the same patch that was used for the game played in Toronto. So I was bummed at first because I was like, oh man, they recycled that patch. And if they do give the collectors that patch, most likely they're going to put it in the red set because it was the last time they worn it. But it also says it's November 8th, 2024. So the date don't match with the jersey. So I was like, man, I hope they don't do that. And I really hope they attach it back to the jersey, not in just an envelope. So the day of the sale, when we got to go up there at 6 o'clock, I noticed that both set 1 and 2, red and white, both had the patches. And I was like, wow, that's weird. So when the doors open, I grabbed my white jersey. I started looking at the red ones. And so what it looks like, it appears, is that either the Hall of Fame or the Red Wings ordered doubles. And so they went ahead and put the patches back on the set 1, red and white, which would be right because they did attach those to the home red. So it's not wrong. It's just me being a psycho that like that date, whatever like that. But no, they did it right. They absolutely did. I'm glad it was a home run. Yeah, I was very happy with the equipment staff that they actually did that. And it's almost like they actually thought it for the collectors this time around. So I was like, this is cool. So yeah, they hit a home run on that. In my opinion, I was like, this is great because with the Stadium Series last year, I was disappointed that they had the priority patch over the Stadium Series, which is fine because it was in-house and because of the contract. But I think that they should have stitched that priority patch over top of the Stadium Series, and then the collector can turn it inside out, take pictures like it's double patch, it's double stitch, and that's accurate. It's accurate to the photo match or whatever it is. So I didn't know what I was going to walk into with the Hall of Fame patch, but I'm glad it worked out the way it did.
About 10 years ago, they actually restored the patch to the wrong side of the chest. And I'll dig that out and send you photos of it later, Robert.
Please, I would love to see that.
But one thing on the patch on there, are you able to see through the material, and is it numbered on them? Because I think in the past they've numbered them and restored them to the correct jersey.
I haven't. I can't see it on this. I could turn it inside out. But I have seen some of the people that actually got the Stadium Series sets, the priority patch actually had the number of the player on it. So they were being conscious of it to know, like, hey, let's make sure we put it to the right player. That's what it does look like. I saw that on that. But on this jersey right behind me here, that when I have it inside out, you can't see anything. You just see the stitching around it. That's all you can do.
Okay. I'm assuming the number was on there or some notation.
Probably.
The Wings are good at that. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like I said, with that priority patch the year before, I seen a bunch of the sets when I was looking at people's sets and stuff like that during that sale, and you could actually see the number. It looked like it was either penciled or a very light pen mark on it, but they did actually look like they matched them back up to the original jerseys, which is, like you said, it's accurate, and that's what we want as collectors, that you got your stuff, So that was pretty cool.
Exactly. Now you mentioned the Stadium Series. I saw there were some left at the sale.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did many of those sell, and do you recall who's left?
Johansson is left, which I'm actually shocked that Johansson is, but I think it's the price tag. I think it's like $3K, but overall, I think if it is the $3K, I think that's right around the sweet spot. So to backtrack a little bit, I was at that sale. I was third in line. Valeno went first. Evanson went second. I had the Seider in hand. I walked away from it, 9,500 before the hammer fee, and a lot of that credit has to go to you guys. I want to thank all three of you guys for the hard work you guys put out for the community and the information you give, because there was no way I was buying that set for a photo shoot jersey. I'm sorry. And then some of the jerseys was worn for 2 home games, some was worn for 1. Larkin had 3 that was broken up, 1 with the set and 2 with that. They capitalized on that. And I just was like, you know what? I'd like to have it, but I can't pull the trigger on it. And thanks to you guys, I pulled the trigger on the Raymond behind me from the NHL auctions, where at least I got a game worn 1 period. It's got a nice scuff on the front. I love it. And I can thank you guys for that, because a lot of times when I'm trying to get information in Detroit, they don't want to give that information out to the hobby, and I wish they would be more out there with it and stuff like that. But it's pretty close to the chest and stuff like that. But I can't thank this staff, your podcast, enough for the information that you give out to the hobby, because it's phenomenal. So I wouldn't have that Raymond, because with the information we get over here, they were going to tell us that, yeah, they were game used and they weren't. And we all asked that before those sets came available, stuff like that, and we could not get any public knowledge. No one was going to tell us anything. So I went just in case, but I already knew in my heart, doing the legwork that you guys did. As soon as I pulled that jersey out of the bag and I saw the P on the fight strap, I was like, yep, I'm good. So can't do it. But
and we appreciate that. And I mean, those are the kind of things that shouldn't be hidden from collectors. I don't understand, in the case of the Red Wings, why that stuff isn't shared. Be transparent, be upfront. I mean, if the teams don't know till just before the game, I understand that. But once you're getting to the point where you're going to start selling these, disclose up front what the hell's happening. And in the case of those photo shoots, it's at least nice that they threw a bunch of them in games after the fact. And at least, I know it's not worn at that outdoor game, but at least get you some, and then it gives you some options. But just be upfront, because one, you're I would say you're guaranteed, but you have a good opportunity to make extra money or sell these well. You say, hey, yes, these are photo shoot worn jerseys. They have this patch. However, our plan is to wear them in a couple of games. We'll disclose those as well. The patch will be included, and those things, we at least know what's happened to them and when, because then that may get a collector even more interested. Oh, cool. Yes, it was photo matched here, or photo shot here, excuse me, and then game worn over here.
Yeah, exactly. That would be perfect. And then you wouldn't have anybody with hurt feelings and stuff like that. You know what you're getting,
Don't make it a surprise after you dropped a large amount of cash on what you expect is one thing, and could turn out better, could turn out worse. Real quick side note, just so I don't forget, Vince Smith is the one who posted the pictures in the Red Wings autographs, memorabilia, and game used group. I happened to see that, I think, the morning of the sale, but I just wanted to give him credit for some really good pictures on there, including that discount picture on the wall.
And like I said, I can't go ahead.
I just want to stress, when you go to these equipment sales, please take photos. We all love seeing them. I mean, and I know it gets really hectic in there and you're running around and stuff. So hats off to Vince for posting those. Those were great. It gave us a good sense of what the sale looked like. So sorry, Robert, go right ahead.
No, you're good. No, but like I said, I wanted to thank you guys again. And because of your information, that's, saved me. And I told as many collectors I could in a positive way. And a lot of collectors, they were still on the fence, because I was like, listen, this is what I've researched on top of what Dirty Laundry has saying about these Stadium Series dating back, 5, 6, 7 years ago. It's like there's proof in the pudding here. So it's just like buyer beware, and when the doors open, I think, I probably had 5 or 6 collectors say, you know what, you were right. I was like, it's not about being right or wrong. It's just making sure that we get that information out to the public, because the last thing you want to do is, drop $10K on a Kane set only to know that it's a photo shoot set minus a helmet too. And it's like, what would you do here? Now, if that's something you still wanted, by all means, that's amazing. But at least get the information out there and that it's accurate, because last thing you want to do in game used is, once you buy it, there's no returning it. And you don't want that bad feeling that, you got took or deceived or something like that. So it's very important that this stuff is out there.
So, in fairness to the Red Wings, when that list came out for the Stadium Series, they did have off to the side whether it was photo shoot or
Mhm.
what else. I can't remember if they also explained what regular season games are worn in. But
Mhm.
if you weren't ready for that, you
You,
very well like, oh, Seider is still here. It's I'm
yeah.
going to take it, and then realize, wait, it's
Mhm.
only a photo shoot when you start looking into it. So
Mhm.
it's
Yeah, and you didn't get
uh,
that list until the doors open, so you didn't have a lot of time to think about it because the cool thing is they had that set up outside of the team store like they do the equipment sale, and they had like a kiosk, and they filtered us through like the bank ropes. But like you literally like if you were like the first 10 people in line, you didn't have a lot of time to think about like what you had to pull a trigger, right? But then it started catching on in the line, and people started seeing that. And I believe there was someone that bought three big namers and they'd already pulled the trigger on them, and they realized that they were pretty upset with that they got photo shoot jerseys
oof.
instead of um, uh, gamers.
And
And I
what's the ticket on one of those, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, I don't mind at all. I want to say the cane was 10K before Hammer or
The guy that bought
9.5.
three, what do you think he was at on the three?
Oh, he was over 30K.
Oh,
Yeah,
Wow.
oh,
he got the three big names. Yeah, he got the
and
three big boys.
this is the one who then put them up
Yes.
for resale. So
Yes, yes,
going
yes.
in,
I will.
yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, exactly. Yep. And yeah, so yeah, they didn't know. And if they had known, I think that they might not have done it or something like that.
Uh,
They were pretty upset. They were pretty upset that they were photo shoot.
I bet.
But
Interesting because when I saw them listed, it's like that they didn't seem that upset what they were offering.
It's a
yeah,
game changer.
That's good to add to the story. So
yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. And then going back to the year prior to that, once again, you guys had the information, and then I did my own research with NHL auctions and try to get some decent information from the Wings. And I have to give a huge shout out to Matt from Delaware North. He gave me the information I needed to know that I was going to pull the trigger on the uh, Raymond Global Series jersey I had, because indeed it was worn for the whole game, and they didn't do the switch, and that was the word the whole time, that that jersey was switched, and that the jerseys coming to Detroit would be period 2 and 3, but it never happened. The switch never happened, and so it was nice to have all that information.
so if I remember right from last season, some of the white Red Wings jerseys, you can see where the Global Series patch
Yeah,
is removed. I mean,
yeah.
it's clear as day on some of them. So
Yeah, and we had that discussion and
oh
when I was here a year
yeah,
ago,
yeah,
and we talked about that on air and off the air. And so no, you're not wrong. And we all talked about like what a moment they missed on that.
oh yeah.
But that's still up for debate. Like you've seen the outline of the patch, so you knew it was worn, but yet some people are going back and forth like, where are the whites? So yeah, most likely like
Okay.
we believe that they just got filtered through the sets at the end of the sale, and it is what it is. Hate that
End of the
word, but
set ones.
yeah, yeah, it is what it is. But I'm just again, it's just the the information that you guys give to the public is it's second to none. And I'm not trying to blow smoke up you guys, but like I'm thankful. I'm thankful for you guys, and I'm sure so many people are too, because I want that. Like I know that it's legit and everything is on the up and up. But yeah, it
And
was
again,
great.
we appreciate that. And if there's anybody who works for teams, who has inside stuff on information like this, you're gonna be protect. We never share where this stuff is coming from. And I'm not gonna have somebody reach out. Well, who told you that? No, I like I've said many times before, have been a regular on the air radio media political reporter stuff, getting those kind of things. That is always going to be protected. I mean, I know it's not earth shattering or info, but we will never give up identities when inside information is given.
Mhm.
So, but it sounds like you did. You had a good sale and enjoyed what you got.
I did, like the the few people, the few regulars that did hang out, we had a lot of laughs and enjoyed ourselves, and we helped each other out. Like I had people bringing me cider gloves and this, that, and the other, and I'm helping the cane guy out. And we had 3 or 4 guys that all want Casper, but only had so many Casper stuff that you could, divvy up. And we have a guy that collects cane pucks, and he collects Jonathan Bergeron, and we try to help him out with everything we could too. Like I said, with the foot traffic was light, so it felt like you had all the time in the world to look at anything like that. It didn't seem like you couldn't. I know when I was coming in through the door, I could hear the security guard say, "Oh, the first 50, so move slow enough where he could do a head count or something like that." So I don't know once the 50 got in, if they just slow brought, the next group in, or waited till some people got cashed out. And with the light foot traffic, there was guys cashing out, and I mean they were ready to go. Like it wasn't like previous years where the lines was longer than you being out on the cell floor. So that was one good thing. But I really wish that it would have been more foot traffic. And again, it could be the 100th anniversary coming up. It could have been, the way things are handled now. But it would have been nice, for 2 reasons. I want to see this team succeed, and I want to see that the money that they raise for this cell can pay for the following year's equipment a budget. And in previous years, my previous 3 years before that, it was, you could just look, that was the volume that was out there, and I mean they were raising between 100 and 200K, for that stuff. And I think right now they're not where they want to be at, but there'll be opportunity for fans that didn't get to go to the cell. When they have training camp, they take so many gamers up there. You can reach the staff in the off season. They'll let you buy them and ship them out, stuff like that. When I left at 3:30, like I said, the Canes were still there, Larkins were still there. I had a Seider red that I put back, and I had a Raymond Hall of Fame patch that I put back. So there was a Seider there still when I left at 3:30, and there's only 2 Seiders this year because the set 2s are gone. So if you want a Seider and it's still there, there's only going to be one more available to the public.
So if that's still there, I'm going to Germany in a little bit over 2 weeks. So
there you go. So
our
reach out.
German friends have a chance to get it shipped to me quickly.
Yeah, and it was pretty banged up too. It was more banged up than this white one. It had some nice repairs on it, some really nice repairs on it.
That was 5,300 again.
55 for the red and the 53 for the white. Yeah. So it was there when I left at 3:30 with hour and a half left on the clock, to go in there. So definitely reach out to the German guys, and then speaking of the German guys and stuff like that. Once again, coming out here on this podcast a year ago, like the doors that this show opened up, like I really haven't launched the Skating with Seider stuff. It's, my 2 platforms and stuff like that. I'm sure it's growing steam, but it's not right there. But beyond the show, I think I had 5 or 6 German collectors that have reached out to me, and in my heart, I say we're friends now. At least we're pen pals and stuff like that. And they're telling me, "Hey, if you find anything over there, can you help me out?" I'm like, "Absolutely." And they're saying, "We'll help you with anything on this side of the pond too." So that's been great. And then about 3 or 4 collectors in the States that have become friends with me, and we've become text buddies in groups and stuff like that. Matt that does your guys' cards, he's one of them. Dan Day, and then Mike Hessick. I think I'm saying Mike's name correct and stuff like that. So we're in a big group text, and we chat daily on all kinds of game use stuff and stuff like that. So it's been amazing, like, being a part of the show for the second time, and I watch the show religiously and stuff like that, and just can't wait for the next episode to drop. And you guys are a big part of my life now.
I'm definitely glad we can help, and it's funny. I mean, you think how big the world is sometimes, and then you make connections all across the globe, and it's like you've known these people forever.
Yeah.
So it's awesome that we were able to help out with that. As we wrap this stuff up, Paul, I'll give you your final thoughts.
Well, first off, I have to mention, Robert, there's still time to get tickets to Dusseldorf. You can join us there.
I gotta go at some point. Like, it would be so cool.
It's a wonderful, it's just a great time. The whole Monica will be there a little bit over a week. We're so looking forward to it. It's every trip there's just been incredible. I also, wrapping this up, want to mention August 16th, next Saturday, week from Saturday, we're doing a garage sale type thing up at Mitch's place. So it will be bobbleheads, shirts, t-shirts, jerseys. I finally sold off all my Sharks training camp jerseys. So those will not be there, but I'll bring other Sharks gamers and stuff for sale. Mitch will have a bunch. The Zamboni will come out. So if you need a picture with the Zamboni, come on out. Let's be up in Redwood City. Just hit me up for the address or ask Mitch because he probably has it posted everywhere. But that's always a fun time. It'll be good to see everyone before the season starts, and then we're off to Germany shortly after that. So August 16th, Redwood City.
And that'll be fun. Say if you get a picture with a Zamboni, make sure you tag or hit the Dirty Laundry page up. I'd love to post some of those. Need to get like a giant Dirty Laundry sign you can hold when they're taking pictures next to Zamboni and stuff.
Well, we can do that. I almost thought the way you paused there at the beginning that Doc was speechless for the first time I've ever known him, but I don't know why. But
as my dad always said, they don't call us noise for nothing.
There you go.
Wade, what you got?
No, nothing. Great show. Thanks, Robert, for coming on. It's always a pleasure, man. You're a cool guy, and it's always fun to hear what you got to say, and we enjoy your guesthood and friendship. Nothing. Good week. I keep inching closer to hockey season, which is great, and can't wait for this coming season, and can't wait to get Paul finally in a Fanatics jersey on one of those 100th anniversary Red Wings jerseys, and life's going to be good at that point.
It's not going to happen. And I do have to say, though, sorry to interrupt your thought here. The thing that almost got me to break down were the Stadium Series ones. Because I really wanted the set with the helmet and all that is so cool.
The 100th anniversary is not going to get you? I mean, come on.
Well, no, it's the helmet I really wanted. But then I saw the price tag on them. So, no, I passed on every Red Wings jersey this year.
All right.
So it might not be. I doubt the 100th anniversary ones will get me. So I'll wait till it goes back to someone other than Fanatics.
All right.
Yeah.
No, thank you guys for another fun evening. And again, everybody keep up the great work and keep supporting the hobby because, I think Robert really hit on a good part about that. This is about relationships and friendships. We say it all the time, but man, get involved, communicate with people, and have fun with it because it's amazing the relationships you can build in something like this.
100%. Very final thoughts because you were our guest tonight, Robert. Anything else?
Well, so I set these jerseys up behind me again. Of course, they always in my vaults, but I made sure that I try to keep my head where the priority patch wouldn't be noticed for Paul, and then I covered up the Fanatics jersey on the ring before it was fell. But no, I
thank you.
I just for you, brother, absolutely. But no, I feel like we're all friends here, and I was again, I was nervous last year. I wasn't as nervous as I was this year, but it's nice when we have like the discussions before we air and stuff like that. But as soon as Doc says, okay, we're going live, I tense up a little bit, but sometimes I may not say the words I want to, or I might stutter or something like that. But overall, like I really enjoy this show and I really enjoy being a guest, and it's an honor because you guys don't have to have people on and stuff like that. So I find it to be, it's an honor to be here and stuff like that. And I'm just so thankful for you guys and the friendships that I've gathered from this and stuff like that. And I hope we're looking back, 10 years from now going like where it started and where it's going. And I can't wait to see all the YouTube plaques on your guys' walls and stuff like that. We're going to get there. But it's my favorite podcast, hands down. And I'm not just saying that, but I absolutely love your guys' show. I love the soft topics. I love the hard hitting topics. Last week with you guys touching on mental illness, it was amazing to see that. And you could feel the care. Like you guys weren't just saying that. I know Doc was, the primary voice in that, but you guys echoed that, and I felt it. I felt that it was real. I felt like if I needed to reach out to any of you guys, that I could, and that you're a phone call away, and I could feel that seniority. And a lot of times people will say things just to say it, but like I felt that, knowing you guys a little bit, and it's an amazing show, and I can't thank you guys enough. It's always an honor to be here, and just keep up the good work. Don't change a thing. Keep your integrity, and I love you guys. And I know we live in a day and age where people say, that's homo or this or that, but I absolutely love you guys.
That's
And
awesome.
We all do it because we love it, and we appreciate guests like you that are willing to come on and share stories about what you collected, what you've gone through, things like that. And it is just, that's why it's such a fun group. Is like you said, even at the sale, you caught up with friends, you told stories, you had a good time. That's what that's about. That's what these upcoming expos about, or the sidewalk sales, or whatever it is you're doing. Even just going to games with other collectors is. You may be, for some people, this will be a hurting statement. You may be wearing a gamer to a game or whatever, but you're still talking about the hobby and hanging with friends you made because you're doing these kind of things. So we appreciate your support, Robert, and everybody's else's out there. So please like, subscribe, share this with other people. It is so fun to do this, and I know sometimes I ramble, or we may go long on things, but it's all because we're so excited to do this, and we really do enjoy bringing you this every week. I mean, if we didn't enjoy it, one, we wouldn't do it, and we sure as hell ain't doing it for the money. So we will see you guys back next week. We've got an amazing guest. Thanks to Paul's help with that. So I cannot wait to do that one. And that I will just say this now, and we'll clarify it if it goes this way. If it is a more of a not safe for work one, we will put that in the title so people are aware. I will tease it with just that and nothing else. But we will see you guys back next week for another show. Thanks very much for all the support.